Good evening, Toya. Good to see you. All right, we'll be ready to get started in just a few moments. If you can hear me, type in the chat to let me know that you can hear me. Hello, Tamika. Good to see you. All right. Can you hear me pretty good, Tamika?
I can, yes.
Hey, Sharita. Thank you so much for coming on to our training on tonight.
Peace. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Let me see if I can get my speakers adjusted real quick so I can hear you all when you all are talking. And if we have any questions or whatever the case may be. Right. Hey, Toya, can you hear me? Sharita, can you hear me? Tamika as well.
Yes,
Hey, B-White, I can hear you.
Good deal. Thank y'all. All right, let me turn my speaker down because I won't get any feedback. All right. Thank y'all so much for coming on for our first session for our federal grant training. Most of you all that's on tonight, you know me, and those that will come back and look at the replay as well, you will I want to tell you a little bit about me. My name is Aubrey White. A lot of people, they call me B White, some call me Bishop White. I pastor a church I pastor the Victory Life Christian Center, and also I own several businesses as well. I don't want to get into all of that on tonight, but of course, I've been in grant writing since I was about 20 years old. I'm 49 now, so it's been about 29 years, and I've seen all types and kinds of grants, and also I've had a chance to work on several granting projects as well. During these sessions, is meant to be very informative. These are not sessions for the faint at heart per se. Grant writing is a lot of work, and we're going to get into that on tonight. The sessions that we have, there'll be 1 hour sessions. Please feel free to ask any questions at any time. Hey, Jed, good to see you. Please feel free to ask any questions at any time. I'm not going to mute you all's microphones. If there's a question you want to ask while I'm talking, please feel free to ask the questions. Also, there's a chat. You can ask questions in the chat as well. I want this just not me giving you information, but I want to make sure that we have some dialogue going back and forth as well. And they're good kind of stuff like this. So let's get started on tonight. Also, I made a decision that we would stream tonight on my personal Facebook page, and also was streaming to my YouTube channel, which is The Quicken Guy. A lot of you all don't know. I think Tamika, she knows that I have a YouTube channel, which is The Quicken Guy, and I'm going to do some sessions about that. The Quicken Guy, I tell you a little bit about that. Years ago, I used to work for Intuit Quicken, and I actually became an expert at their financial software. And so when they actually shut operations down here in America, and they sent all the jobs over to India, I decided that I need to make some money. And so I started a YouTube channel, and I'm probably one of the most well-known YouTube channels for giving Quicken tutorials and all the kind of stuff like that. And I mastered monetizing on YouTube videos through that particular channel, and learned how to build that channel as well. Okay. Hey, Paula, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
That's good. That's good. All right. Let's get started. I start off like this. Grant writing is not for the faint at heart. It's not for the faint at heart. Grant writing, it is a lot of work, and you must be willing to put the work in with it. There's some grants that are very big. There's some grants that are very small. You can get grants all the way from $100 all the way up to several $1 million. There's a lot of money in grants. And a lot of people that think that, well, you know what, I'm going to get out here, I'm going to get me a grant, and life going to be smooth. It don't work quite like that. In grant writing, there is a lot of accountability, especially when you are going after federal grants. We're going to get into that in just a little bit per se, because most grants, the government, they are going to want to be directly involved in the grant, especially if you're getting a certain amount of money, that kind of stuff like that. And then in some areas as well, they're not there just to be nosy per se, because of course they want to make sure that you're doing with the money exactly what you said you're going to do with it, but they're there to support you as well. When you get into applying for grants, once you get into applying for grants, they'll call you, they email you back and forth, and it's just a lot of work that goes into it. Also during these sessions, we're going to talk about other grants as well, just not from the government, but there are companies that give away grants as well. There's so much money they need to give away to write off from their books and all that kind of stuff like that. And so those things are important to know. You can you can get grants from the city council, get grants from the mayor, grants from the House of Representatives, all that kind of stuff like that. So a lot of stuff is involved in writing grants, and there is a lot of money that's out there. But grant is not for the faint of heart, once again. And also some people, they try to get into grant writing, but when they get in, they think, well, I'm gonna get it and just use the money for whatever. You will get in a lot of trouble. They do come in and they audit your books. And it's also good to keep good financials as well. And that's going to be in one of our sessions as well. You got to keep up with what you do with the money and all that kind of stuff like that. So let's go ahead and let's get into the meat of the class on tonight. Once again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me at any time. Good evening, Jed. I hope you're doing good this evening. All right. All right. What the first question is tonight, the thing we need to do is, what is a grant? A grant is a way the government funds your ideas, your projects to provide public services, number one, and to stimulate the economy. You got to know that when people give out grants, they have goals that they are trying to meet. You got goals you want to meet as well, but the government, they have goals that they want to meet. So it's a way they help public services and stimulate the economy as well, and they fund your projects and they fund your ideas. Grant support are critical. Our recovery initiatives, innovate research, and also they do a whole lot of other types and kinds of programs as well. A grant, watch this right here, is one of many different forms of federal financial assistance. The federal assistance is a broad name, a term to various ways the government redistributes resources to eligible recipients. On grants.gov, we're going to go through that in just a minute. On grants.gov, you'll find grants, you'll find cooperative agreements, and then also you'll find some projects that you can bid on as well. So that's from the government standpoint. When you start looking at a company, a grant is an award usually financially given by an entity. There's grants out there right now from Alabama Power, and they are giving like several $1 million. And we're going to talk about the Alabama Power grant in the near future. Some folks, they had the thing is, they have foundations. They raise a lot of money, they earned a lot of money, and they create a foundation, and so therefore they're looking to give that money away because they have a goal that they're trying to meet, to make sure that communities are helped and make sure certain types and kinds of people, they're the funding that they need. Okay, so when you get into grant writing, there's a process that you got to go through in order to start writing the grant. The first thing that you need to know is this right here. You need to know what you want to do with the money. What is it exactly that you want to do with the money? What are your goals? What's your long-term goals, your short-term goals? Who do you want to work with you? And I believe that's one of the foundational things that you've got to do. I don't think that it is a smart thing, as I said before, just to try to get a grant, to make some money, to buy a car, to buy a house, or something like that. There are grants that's out there that's like that, that's geared toward that. But most grants, not only must you have goals, but as I said before, the person that's giving the grant, the government who gives the grant, the company that's giving the grant as well, they have goals as well. And y'all goals have got to meet together. Sometimes there's some things you may not want to do. There may be something that you have, there may be parts of your idea that the government doesn't like per se. But what happens with that is this right here. Sometimes you got to curtail, or you got to tailor your goals to meet their goals, because they are the ones that's giving away the money, and they are real strict about the goals that they are trying to meet. And sometimes people, they get hung up in only what they want to do. This is my idea. This is my project. This is how I see it. And it's good for you to see it a certain way. But if the person that's giving the money, if they don't see it that way, they may not give you the grant, all that good kind of stuff like that. Sometimes you get a chance to talk to somebody, and when you talk to them, they say, well, you know what, they really don't align with our beliefs and all that kind of stuff like that. And then at that point, you got to make a decision on what you want to do. And of course, as I said before, I'm a pastor. When I get down to grant writing, I don't let that interfere with what I'm doing with the I don't let that interfere with what I'm doing pertaining to the grant. I do grants for businesses. I do grant for myself, my other businesses, and all that kind of stuff like that. So know what you want to do. Number two, you got to make sure that you are an entity. A grant's given to individuals sometimes, yes, they are, but they are few and far between. A lot of us, we've seen different reels, different TikToks, different videos on YouTube about people got money to do certain types and kinds of things. And there are some grants that's out there like that, but you have got to really, really dig real deep in order to find those particular grants. And sometimes when those grants are given away, those grants are not of they're not worth a lot of money, if I can say it like that. But they're small portions of money to make sure you can get out of debt or something like that, buy a home, that kind of stuff like that. Some people, they give away money because they're really concerned about different stuff they care about, and that good kind of stuff. So You need to make sure that you have an entity established. Somebody, let me type that in. Make sure you have an entity established. Got to make sure that you have an entity established. What is an entity? For those of you that don't know, it's a business. An entity is a company that's set apart from yourself. It's a business that you started. Of course, as I said from the onset, I have several businesses that I have, and I have a nonprofit as well. And when I begin to go into the website, we're going to look at some stuff on my nonprofit, which is entitled The Victory Project. And that is indeed a 501c3. It's a nonprofit. One thing you got to make sure of is that when you are doing your entity work, you need to make sure that all of your paperwork is indeed in order. That's vitally important, because those things are checked. They also do a federal income tax check as well to make sure you got the right tax ID number, to make sure you file income taxes, all that kind of stuff like that plays a part in it. I do most grant writing that I do it under a nonprofit. I do it under a 501c3. Sometimes we think that we have something and we really don't have it, and it's important, especially if you hired somebody to do some paperwork for you. You have got to make sure that paperwork is done. There are a lot of people that's out there. They just want to collect your money, do something, and be done with it. There is a lot of work in building your entity that you can do yourself, such as forming your own LLC, forming your own corporation, forming your own S Corp, C Corp, also doing your own 501c3 as well. To form your entity, it depends upon the state that you're in. That's how much you pay for that. When you start talking about a 501c3, you got to make sure that you make sure you register with your state. Make sure you got your articles of incorporation, your bylaws, and then also you got to go through the process of filing the paperwork to form that 501c3. Most grants are very successful when you have actually formed a 501c3. In one of our sessions as well, we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to do some classes on going through the whole process of building your 501c3 and going through all the paperwork, that kind of stuff like that. So, but at any rate, those are things you have to have in place. So if you are ready to start grant writing and doing your grant, the steps and process you go through is this right here. And we're going to go to it. And if y'all are taking notes, please write this stuff down. The first thing you got to do, there's two websites you're going to work with. The first website is sam.gov. That's sam.gov. The next website you're going to work with is grants. It's grants.gov. These are the two websites that you are going to be working with, sam.gov and grants.gov. Let me type that in the comments so you can come back and take a look at it later. Grants.gov and sam.gov. It's important, and those of you that already have an entity established. Hey, Ty, how you doing? Good to see you, sweetie. Those of you that already have an entity established, you need to go ahead at some point tonight and get registered with sam.gov. To go through the registration with sam.gov, it's a whole process. It's a whole process, and the process takes about a week from the time you sit down and you fill out the paperwork until they make sure that you're registered with Dun & Bradstreet. If your company is not registered with Dun & Bradstreet, you need to go ahead and make sure it's registered with Dun & Bradstreet. Now, there's a special registration you have to go through with Dun & Bradstreet, and that's through on the government side of it, because they want to make sure that your business is verified as well. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put these steps in the comments tonight. Step 1, register with D&B. That's Dun & Bradstreet. Step 2, register with sam.gov. Now, hear me on this, and hear me real good on this. When you register with Dun and Bradstreet, DNB, you need to make sure that registration is in. You need to make sure it's in. They verified everything before you register at sam.gov, because when you go to sam.gov, your registration there is going to be rejected if that registration with DNB has not, in fact, been enforced. And sometimes they can take a couple of days, it can take a week or something like that. Let me pull this up real quick. Let me see. Let me look at this real quick. When you trying to make sure I got the right one for you. Okay. Okay. All right, then it changed up a little bit, so that's good. Okay. To do your Dun & Bradstreet number, if you and the thing is, if you have an entity, a business that's registered, you go to dnb.com. DNB.com. And when you go to DNB.com, you can search for your business to in fact see if your business is listed. That's very important. See if your business is actually listed with Dun & Bradstreet. Sometimes they pick them up, sometimes they don't. If your business is not listed with Dun & Bradstreet at DNB.com, go ahead and register your business. Now, hear me on this. Dun & Bradstreet is a credit reporting agency for businesses. Now, and what happens, they're just like TransUnion, they're just like Equifax, Experian, all them kind of folk like that. They are in the business of making money. You know, they are in the business of making money. When you register for DNB, they are going to try to get you to buy a product and a service. You're not interested in doing that. You may be down with that today or next week or next year, but that's not something that you have to do. To get a DNB number, that is indeed free. That's free to get a DNB number. So go ahead and register. You can ignore all the sales they try to do. You're just trying to get the Dun & Bradstreet number. When you put that Dun & Brad, I register your Dun & Bradstreet. Make sure you got a good address. Make sure you got a good phone number. Who's ever listed in your through your registration at the state on your LLC, your corporation, make sure that it's listed in there as well. So that stuff is vitally important. It's vitally important that all the information is verifiable that you put in DNB, because when you go to sam.gov and you put in your DNB number, it's going to go into Dun & Bradstreet to pull the information over to do the verification. Everything that you do is going to be verified. The government, the real funny, it's got to be verified. So Dun & Bradstreet, it's the first website you want to go through. Check to see if your business is there. Let me actually let me share a screen and let's see. So let's do this right here. Let me know, Ty, wave if you can see my screen. Very good. Now let's see what I can do here. All right. So you go to Dun & Bradstreet and you'll click on search here. You click on search here. For example, the name of my church is Victory Tabernacle Community Church. All right, you see, when I start typing that, it came up right here, Victory Tabernacle Community Church. Of course, all of you know my church is Victory Life Christian Center. That's the corporate name. We excuse me, Victory Tabernacle is the corporate name. Victory Life is our doing business name. So you click on that. And it comes up right here. And of course, you can let's see how much it'll show publicly. All right, so then they'll come down here. You see my name that came up here, Aubrey L. White. I'm the president. And so, in fact, the business actually listed there. I have another business. That's okay. Here we go. Let me go. Here's some more information right here. The church is located at 420 Oakmont Street, Birmingham, Alabama, 35224. All of that's there. So I have another business as well.
Ain't no Baptist church.
It's Allen and Associates, LLC. Actually, it's not spelled like that. I got an ampersand sign in there. Let's do a search on that. See if we bring it up just right. And it did. Hold on. That name's actually okay. It's a common name, and it's got, you can search for like 143 companies. It's got the same type name, that kind of deal there. But that's the gist of. So go out there and see if it's listed. If it's not listed, you go out here and get your Dun and Bradstreet number. Let's see here. Click on Dun's number. Get to know your Dun's number, and then you'll click right here. They say get a Dun's number. Can y'all see that right there? Get a Dun's number. So once you click there, you'll go through the process right here of getting your Dun's number. All right. All right, good deal. So the next thing after you do that, you want to go to, we'll close this one out. You want to go to sam.gov. I think I'm already logged in here. Now my nonprofit is already registered with sam.gov. Next week, we will go through a complete registration of going through sam.gov, and it's a little tedious, but we're going to look at my file tonight so you can see exactly what's there and the questions that they are going to ask for. Also, let me put this in right here. When you get ready to register at sam.gov, what happens is going to take you, and you're going to have to create what's called a login.gov a username and password. But you don't have to go to login.gov. Once you get ready to sign up for it, it'll take you directly there through that process. Okay. So right here, I'm going to click on renew and update. Now, one thing about sam.gov, you have to renew and update your file every single year, and you don't want to be late with that. You don't want to be late with it, because if you are, it's going to kick you out from getting any grants or making any bids on different projects. So I'm going to click on renew and update. Can y'all see that? My renew and update page.
Yes, we can see it.
Thank you so much. So right here is my first page. They started something new. I think the end of last year, something like that. They start giving a unique entity ID, and that's what you'll see right here. Several things you do within business and government, grant writing, they're going to ask you for this unique user ID, entity ID, which is there. You're going to have a cage number as well. You'll be assigned a cage number after you have been verified through Dun and Bradstreet. You'll get emails and all that kind of stuff like that. The Victory Project, which is here, the name of my nonprofit, doing business as, we're not doing business as nobody, it's blank. And then they have your address this year. And the purpose of the registration is to receive federal assistance awards, is indeed to get grants. And then it's going to give you an expiration date, which is August 24th, 2023. 30 days before that, you want to make sure that your entity has indeed been updated. It's very key. Also, we may not can see it tonight, but we can next week when we go through a registration, we can see it then. You want to make sure that you keep your information private, so our solicitors, they won't get your email address, and they'll email you and call you all day long. I ran into that a few years ago, and it was the devil trying to get them to stop from calling me. They called you to ask you if they can update or register your business on your behalf, and you don't want that. They charge high fees, all this stuff. You can do it yourself. So we got this right here. And so once we get into this right here, if your entity is not active and it hasn't been updated, you'll see that right here. See, it says active registration, and there's a green button that's right here. If it's not active and you have not updated, it's going to show red. So let's click on the entity name and let's go into the entity. And so we get all the same information again. And it's going to ask us what we want to update. I would like to update my points of contact. Points of contact are the people that you have listed that can work on your grants or that can do business on your behalf. All right. And every year, every single year, you got to keep this in mind, is that you have got to send in a notarized letter. It's got to be a handwritten letter on letterhead to let them know who your contacts are. Even though it's in here, they want that notarized letter from you, your signature on it, all that kind of stuff like that. And so you click here to update your points of contact. And then also you can click right here, I would like to update or renew the entity. So let's click on that. I don't want to download it. So let's click on next. Would you like to change the purpose of the entity registration? We want to select no. We'll click on next. Now I move kind of fast, so bear with me. Cage confirmation code. The registration is active. And so you get down into here. There's your core data, your points of contact, and also your representations, certifications. All right. So it's going to ask you, is everything up here correct? So you click the first one. I'm trying to get to where you can see all the information. So right here, it's included in a public search. Now, I got some restrictions on this, and we'll go through that later. But what happens is sometimes they will search for companies or organizations in order to ask them to take on a grant or to take on a bid or something like that. I got a call about 8 years ago from the Army, and back then I was printing books, and then at that point, I gave them a bid on printing some books. I didn't get the bid. I wasn't the lowest one, but sometimes they have so many people, they have got to have to apply for it or reach out for it, that kind of stuff like that. All right. Continue registration. Okay. All right. Now this is information you got to have. When did the business start? When does your fiscal year start? I mean, in 12/31, and you got division name, division number, and your website. It's very important to have a website as well, because they want to see if you are really a legit business. And then you got an MPIN. An MPIN is what you will update. Anytime you sign in or make changes, you got to put that MPIN in. I'm an iPhone user, and what I do, I put it in my notes to make sure that I always have it. I have so many different passwords and all that kind of stuff like that. And so I make sure that I keep my MPIN in a cloud somewhere to where I can always access it, because you're not going to use it every day. You may use it once a year, once every 2 years, once every 3 years when you need to go in and change something. But you got to have this number right here. And also make sure that you don't share this number with anybody. All right. Have your address information, your mailing address information. All of this is stuff they ask for. And right here, you got your EIN, which is your employee identification number. If you don't have an EIN, make sure you go to irs.gov and fill out form SS4 to make sure you got the tax ID number. Save and continue. This is consent to disclose information, taxpayer name. So this is where they're going to check your business with the IRS. This information has got to be right. Whatever name that you have on your tax ID form, you got to make sure the name is in sam.gov the exact way. You got to make sure the tax ID, the D, is exact. I'm the kind of person, I got a little bit of OCD. I check stuff time and time again to make sure it is right, because you do not want it to be rejected. You want to make sure that you got the same address that's listed on your tax ID form as well. If your address need to be updated with the IRS, make sure you download the form to change your address, because all this information is got to sync together. It takes a process to get to actually get to the grant writing side of it. So, of course, all this information here is for the IRS. All right. IRS consent. So, you know. Okay. All right. So when you're going through, they got several security notifications and all that kind of stuff like that. Let me make sure I got this email on here. I may just cancel it out and go to the next section. Give me 1 second. All this is real life, going through this whole process. Let's see, Victor Project. Okay. All right, here I go. All right, so now I went through, it accepted and all that. All right. Core data is going to ask information about your business, who you are. Some grants you apply for, some bids you apply for, you got to have a security clearance. And so, of course, you got information for that here. All that kind of stuff like that. And the thing is, if I needed to go through and select your security clearance, you can put that information in here at the top, and then your highest employee security level as well, and put that in as well. The stuff I do, I don't need security clearance. Institution type, you have this there. If you Indian, a Native American, you have all that there to select that in your core data. Your organization factors, that's here. Can y'all see the information?
Yes, we also have a question in the chat too.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, Sheree.
I was just asking if the entity has to be a not-for-profit, or can it be a for-profit?
It can be a for-profit or not-profit. And in just a moment, we're going to go through and look at who qualifies for grants. Each grant is different. You got some that's for faith-based, and you got some that's for LLCs, you got some for Black women, Black men, all that kind of stuff like that. And it'll tell you which one it is. But any type of business can qualify. It just depends upon if that particular grant is going to accept that type of business, but they let you know up front.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Good deal. All right. Profit structure with nonprofit. It asks you right here what you are: for-profit, nonprofit, or other not-profit or profit organization. And so now you get into the questions here that ask about your socio-economic categories. Of course, I'm a Black man right here. Black African owned. So, you know, if you qualify for some of these, your veteran owned business, a woman owned business, joint venture, a women owned small business, owning all that kind of stuff. These are questions that you got to have ready to answer once you log in and sign in. And so now right here, and actually I need to update this right here. You put in your banking info, which is very important. Now when you put your banking info in, you want to try your best not to change it on a regular basis per se, because the system is very tedious in the way you put this in. Sometimes it may kick you out about 10 times, and then the next day you got to come back and try to put it in again. But you got to have detailed information about your bank. Of course, your bank, your routing number, account number. If your bank use a lockbox or something like that, you want the lockbox number as well. And there are different phone numbers you need to have for the bank as well. Of course, the first phone number that's listed here, you got to make sure that you have the ACH department phone number this year. When they're transferring millions of dollars to your account, they will call to make sure the account is active and all that kind of stuff like that, to verify the account number, to make sure there's no fraud on the account, all that kind of stuff like that. All right. And so also you got to have an address on the bank as well. My bank up here, which says PNC, I was a BBVA a customer, and so that address is still here because I still have that old account number from BBVA and all that good kind of stuff like that. All right, save and continue. Executive compensation. These you got to, when you go in here, you want to be honest. You want to be honest with everything that you do, but you got to answer these questions right. And it's going to ask you about the compensation that the owners are going to get from this grant money. they're not trying to make one person rich. That's not the goal of it. So of course, you got to answer these questions that's here. And of course, my answer is no. If you're a nonprofit, you're doing this for a nonprofit, your answer needs to be no. You cannot have multiple family members that sit on the board. Every state, they got different laws for family that sit on your board of directors. There are rules in place for how many family members work, and it's going to get grant money as well. All that plays into it. All right. Just more questions about the business. They ask about performance of the business, all that. Just basically, this process is long. We're gonna run through it because I do want to get over to the grants to search for grants and take us through what they're asking for and how you can find the right grant for what you're trying to do. So of course, tax identification number, your page description, all that, all the stuff we just went through is going to be listed right here. Your cage codes, general information, type of business, what kind of business you are, all that kind of stuff like that. So of course, today I didn't have no updates, but when I do this, it's still going to I'll go through the process of verifying everything all over again. And then next week, well, by the end of the week, I get another email, a notification. Issue financial assistance, a general certification, and representations. So this just give you different rules and everything like that that's coming from the government, the laws that's set in place pertaining to you getting the grant money. Different disclosures like lobbying and all that kind of stuff like that. Okay. Mandatory errors. Please select the checkbox that certify you have read. All right, let's go down here. I've read. Save and continue. Point of contact shall be employees for the actual entity. Group email addresses may be used as long as they are affiliated with the entity. So this is what we talked about from the onset, the points of contact. So right here, I'm a POC for the company. Electronic Business POC, that's me as well. A government business POC, that's me as well. Some of you, depending upon what you're doing, you may want to have more points of contact. When you are as small as I am per se, you want to deal with everything yourself, and so different stuff going to play on that. All right, and so you got different types of points of contacts as well. That's there. All right, so it takes back through a page description again. Some stuff on here is very repetitive. So now we're gonna submit it. Okay, it's going to ask me for another one-time password. Every time you go through and make a change or update something, it's going to I'll take you through this process. All right. All right. And that's it. You go into your workspace. All right. Now, so I wanted to take you through that so you can actually see the work that you're going to be doing just to get to this next step. Just get to the next step. All these things got to be completed, done in Bradstreet. Get that done as soon as possible. If your business is not listed there, get it done. Make sure it's listed. All right. Because the thing is, they're going to sync it up and all that good kind of stuff like that. All right. So now the next thing is grants.gov. All right, so I logged in before the session to make sure that we can be in, but of course it logged me out. And of course, I told you from the onset as well, a little while ago, that you have to have a login.gov login. So of course, I'm gonna click on login.gov, and then it's gonna ask for my email address and my password. Sign in. Now this is the part that y'all been waiting for. Okay. I know that's crazy.
We can't see your password.
I know you can't. Bless the name of the Lord. Hold on. Let me make sure I got this right. I was just in here. Give me 1 second. I don't know my own email address. There we go. There we go. All right, here we go. So when you go to login.gov, it logs you in through grants.gov. So let's look up. So the first thing you want to do is when you get to grants.gov and you're looking for a grant, of course, this is all the part we're anxious about. You want to type in what you're looking for, what area of interest you're looking for, and all that kind of stuff like that. So let's look up human trafficking. Go. And so when you type in what you're looking for, it's going to give you a list of grants that's out there. And so, of course, we have, I think it's about 39 pages of grants that's out there. It's a lot of money that's out there, a lot of money that's out there. Now, in some cases, what you want to do, you want to get more detailed in your search because you sit there and you look through everything. That's a whole lot of work, okay? So if you want to get more detail with your search, you may already have the opportunity number because somebody shared it with you or something like that. You have out here the grant status, what is for, and this is by default, what is forecasted, posted, of course, forecasted. Go ahead, sweetie. If it's forecasted, that's in the future, they're talking about it. It haven't been posted or yet receiving applications as of yet.
The only thing I know of now is Gabby's graduation in August.
And
There's a
so
birthday party on May the 6th.
And so you have so right here you have funding instruments. Let's talk about funding instruments real quick because it's going to give us a better understanding when we get ready to go into the grants funding instruments. The first one is a cooperative agreement. Number one. Number two, you just have a general grant. Then number three, you have other, and then number four, you have a procurement contract. A cooperative agreement, that's what I was talking about from the onset, is when the government is going to be intimately involved with your business, with your nonprofit. And so what happens is this right here is that once you are awarded the grant money, you may have to do a webinar every day. You may have to do a webinar every week. You may have to do one every month, especially if you are a startup and they made a decision, they're going to give you $5 million. They want to know what you're doing with it. They want to support you. They want to help you along the way to make sure that you are successful in what you desire to do, because at the end of the day, they want this money to be used to stimulate economic growth. And the thing is, the way you do that, by giving jobs, by helping folks in the community as well. Some of you all may know about people that go down to JCCEO or something like that, to get assistance with their rent, assistance with power bills and all that. That come from federal grant money that's given to these agencies in order to make sure that folks' bills are paid, and that creates economic growth as well. But a cooperative agreement is when they are going to intimately be involved in your business. All right, it's number one. Number two, it's just, I'm not going to say it's a simple grant, but it's a grant. It's a grant. They give you the money, and you got to make sure you do what you say you're going to do with the money. At some particular point, they may come back. I can't guarantee it every time. They may come back and do an audit of your books to see what you have done. You may have, and sometimes you have grants. They may give you a $9 million for a grant or something like that. But the grant is for a 3-year period. And so that means that each year you will get $3 million for that particular grant for those 3 years. But at the end of each period, at the end of each year, they may ask you to come back and recertify so they can review what you have done with the money. Okay. The next one is other. They're different. Sometimes you have discretionary funds. Discretionary funds is what you mostly get from your state representative or something like that. So you know, but it'll tell you exactly what it wants to do. The last one is when you have an opportunity to bid on a contract. Bid on a contract to see what's happening and going on with that, all that kind of stuff like that. So when you now I do need to say this, some grants, when you apply at the federal level, the money is not given directly to you, it's given to your state. State of Alabama, the state of Michigan, or whatever the case may be, is given to the state. And they will tell you, you got to fill out the paperwork and submit the paperwork to your state in that particular department. Okay. All right. So let's look at so next it has the eligibility. It tells you what type of companies that can get the particular grants. And of course, you may say, well, all I want is the ones that's listed for nonprofit. Nonprofit having a 501c3 status. If I check that, it's going to sort everything out right here. And it's going to give me everything that a 501c3 qualifies for. All right. And so you may say, well, listen, I'm an individual, just a person, and that's listed here too. You can check that box and it's going to sort all the ones out that you qualify for just in being an individual. All right. And let's say you are a nonprofit, but you do not have a 501c3. There are some grants that's out there for that as well. Nonprofits, let me say it again. Nonprofits that do not have a 501c3. If you check that, it's going to sort that out. There are selections for all types and kinds of businesses out there. As I said from the onset, the ones that's for individuals, they are few and far between. So look at this right here. Individuals, it's only 32 grants that's out there for individuals. That's in the realm of human trafficking. But when you look at your Indians, your Native Americans, that's 293. Your nonprofits with a 501c3, that's 326. The ones that don't have a 501c3 is 263. Others is 571. Private institutions of higher education, 294. Individuals are the lowest one that they have because they really try not to give money to individuals per se, but they want to give it to some type of company or some type of nonprofit. All right. Categories is right here. When you get a chance, you can read through that. And the agency that's giving the grants, they're listed right here. All right. We got about 10 minutes left. I hope this has been informative to you all tonight. I really do. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chaney. I'm trying to come on here and play tonight. I'm trying to be serious. So let's just click on the first one. Let's take a look at how it looks. All right, view grant opportunity. HHS. This is the first part of this. It is the name of the entity, the government entity that's given the grant. HHS is what? Health and Human Services. So this is the entity, the government department that's giving away the grant. And it's for the year of what? Of 2023. And then it give a description of what they doing. All that kind of stuff like that. All right. And it tells you what the grant is: human trafficking, youth prevention education, demonstration program. All right. So watch this right here. It's it give you the type, which is right here. Grant notice. All right. So it gives you the funding number, which we already went through, which is at the top. The funding opportunity title, human trafficking, youth prevention education, which is at the top. The opportunity, which is discretionary, which is good. You don't have to be watched on everything. So that's discretionary. Okay. The category explanation, that's blank. The funding instrument. Well, I got that wrong. Discretionary. The funding instrument this here is cooperative agreement. They are going to watch you. I scratched that from the record. They're going to watch you. Always want to watch out for that right there. So you got to know, if you apply for this, there may be some requirements that's taken. That's every month, every week, every quarter, something like that. Okay. Category of funding, income, security, and social services. Now this is where it gets for some people, it'll get a little discouraging because they're going to tell you how many people they're going to give this grant to. They're going to give it to 5 people, 5 businesses. That's who they're going to give it to. All right. And so you got a CFDA numbers as well. Just the title once again. Is there cost sharing or matching requirements? That is no. Now this right here, y'all see where it said no right there? This is very important because in some cases you must cost share with the grant. And what happens in some cases, they'll say, well, listen, we are only going to fund you up to 80% of your budget for your project. Now, of course, some of us will get smart. Well, you know what? Our over budget. But let me tell you something. These people, they are not dummies. They are really, really, really smart. And what happens is this right here. Whatever you got on that project, to them, if it seems like there's too much money for that, they're going to come back and they're going to look at everything line by line and start breaking stuff down. And eventually, what they'll do is turn around and turn your grant down. So all the numbers, they have got to make sense. So what happens when you cost share? You got to have some of the money yourself for the budget, and that could be money that you have on hand, or also that could be in kind. What is in kind? In my case, I have land already. The church, we already own the church building, and the assets that we have that's in kind. We already got that stuff that's there and that's in place. You know, that kind of stuff like that. And so you can count that toward the in kind, and the in kind, if it's a 2080, it's got to add up to be 20% of how much ever that grant award is indeed going to be. You may buy computers or something like that. You may buy a van or something. It's got to add up to that other 20% that's going to make sure that 100% of the budget is there. In this case, there is no cost sharing. It's straight money, and they're going to give it to you. All right. So right here, you have what's called a posted date. This is the date they put it up. Last time it was updated was on January 27th, 2023. You have what's called a closing date, which is the last date that you can submit your application for this grant, which is April the 27th, 2023, and it can be submitted electronically through on their website. It's got to be in before 11:59. Now, let me tell y'all something. Here, Bishop, he'll be white real good on this. Do not submit a grant on the last day. They are going to know it. They are going to know it. You want to have that grant in at least 5 days before the close date. You may need to go back and make some changes on it or something like that. Then you may have to do that. But they know when somebody has rushed through the process just trying to get it in, because your answers to the questions, your synopsis on stuff, it's got to be very detailed. It's got to be very detailed, and it's got to have the information that you're going to do with those projects. And you just can't write one sentence. You got to really sit down and think about what you want to do in detail. Close date for the application, once again, December 27th, 2023. And it's they got an archive date. It's going to be on May 27th, 2023. The estimated program fund, this is the total amount they have for funding, is $2.5 million. The award ceiling for this particular grant is $500,000. That is the most you will get. If you ask for $500,001, they ain't gonna give you the grant. They don't give it to you. The most each company is going to get is $500,000. The floor, the minimum that you can ask for is $400,000. So you have got to ask for at least $400,000, and the max they'll give you is the $500,000. As I said before, they know that you need money to run the program. They know that, and they're going to make sure that you have the money that you need to run your program or your service. That kind of deal like that. So if you come back and ask for $200,000, they're not going to do it, because they know that you cannot run the program off of $200,000. As I said before, they're just not after throwing money away. They put a lot of work into research and the science behind, making sure that companies and businesses, they have all the funding they need. All right. So also, when you get back to cost sharing, I got about 3 minutes left. I talk too much.
in
call,
a hurry. I'm not in a hurry.
but they gonna cut me off. I just said it for an hour. We'll see. I'm gonna have to start back up. The ward ceiling. Let's say if let's say if there is cost sharing and you gotta do 20%, this the total thing has got to be $500,000. Got to be five. And let's say, for example, if three companies they only ask for the $400,000 and they got surplus money that's left, they ain't gonna give that to you. They're not going to give extra money that's left over. It's already set in stone how much they're going to give. All right. So when we go down here to look, eligible applicants, it says others. See text field, additional information on eligibility clarification. Right here is going to tell you everybody that's eligible to apply for this grant. And that seemed like a lot. And this seemed like it's real small when it says only going to give you, it's just going to give away 5 grants. But don't let that discourage you. You got to get in there and write the best grant that you can. Have a team that you're writing the grant with. Don't be afraid of constructive criticism on ideas. Go out there and look at what other folks they have written for it. Go to other organizations and look at their website to see the kind of stuff that they are doing when they have actually been awarded the money. And I didn't come on here to preach tonight, and I'm not going to do that. The Bible says that we imitate those that have already made it through faith. And so we go out there and we look and we find somebody that's already made it. And the thing is, don't plagiarize and write word for word, but get ideas, glean from different people that have already gotten the grants, and that's going to help you a long way. All right. It's going to end up here. So what happens is give a description of what they're looking for. Once again, I said this from the onset. You have a goal and they have a goal as well. Y'all goals have got to meet together. And even though you may have a great idea on something, it may not be a great idea to them. If it's not a great idea to them, you may need to cast that out the way somewhere. All right? Cast it out the way, and you read exactly what they're looking for. And so when you look for the additional information, in order to start applying for the grant, you got to click on See Related Documents. And right here, it's going to give you a zip file with your documentation in it. And then also it's going to give you a publication on it as well. Let's see if we can look at that aloud, see if I can download that. I don't think it's going to let me get to it. Yes, it is. Can y'all see that PDF file?
Oh, I can.
You can?
I can't.
You cannot.
Cannot.
That's a spirit. Let's see what we got. Okay. Let me hit stop share. There we go. All right, can y'all see it now?
Yeah, we can see it.
All right, so this is an example that I'm giving you all of a document that you have to download and read through. It's like a whole book. It got 74 pages in it. Executive summary, what they're looking for, your program description, federal award information. It's going to give you all of that. They put a lot of time into making sure you have the information that you need. And it's very important that you read through all of the documentation. Now, of course, we heard about in Congress and everything like that. When they write bills, you may have a bill that's about 10,000 pages long. They have teams that go through what and read those bills. You may want to do the same thing. I don't read like that. So therefore, if I'm going to read 74 pages a night, I'm going to have 3 or 4 y'all that's reading sections of the book, and we come back and talk about it. So all this right here. So it gives you all the information. Let me just scroll through. I just want to show you how long it is. So It gives you everything you need to know about the grant and what they are looking for. Remember, it's real key. You're looking for what they are looking for. They have a goal they have to meet. And I know you have a goal that you have to meet as well. But in order for grants to get approved, you got to curtail some stuff to make sure it's going to meet their goals. All right. Stop sharing that right there. Okay. All right. Then you have another document, a zip file and all that. In that information that's there, that will show you where to apply for electronically and all that kind of stuff like that. All right. That's all I have for y'all tonight. I hope it was very informative. Next week, we're going to be back again here on Tuesday night at 6:00 p.m. Now, as we get on further into these classes, I'm going to give to y'all some more resources as well to get your feet wet in some grants. And we're going to talk about how to approach different entities in order to get some grant funding as well, which I think will be very important to give you some practice on doing some stuff, even with getting some grants as small as $1,000. You know, you can do that through your city council member, something like that. You know, some that's real small, so you can get some experience in it. And then I'm going to take you through the process of me writing a grant as well. But next week, we're going to get deep down into some application stuff. We're going to go back through some DMV stuff, some SAM.gov stuff and all that. Those of you that already have your entity together, homework for this week, go ahead and make sure your company is registered with DMV. If you have any questions and concerns, all y'all got my contact info except Sharita, I think. Text me, call me, inbox me. I'm here to answer your questions. I'm just not here for my health. I'm really here because I really want to help people understand what grant writing really is and give them real life examples, real life scenarios of what happened that's out there, because it is not easy. Some people, they try to make it sound like it's easy, and it is really, really, really not that easy. It takes some work, but once you get used to it, you know, it'll be rewarding. Each grant is different. Everybody, and the thing is, the folk that put the RFPs out, they're people just like we are. They have good days, they have bad days, that kind of stuff like that. And they may put something inside that packet that's just impossible to do. But at that particular point, you got to pick up the telephone and call them and talk to them. You have points of contacts that you can talk to when you're writing these grants as well to get more information on what you need. Any questions tonight? Any concerns? Any comments?
This recording, how will we be able to obtain it to go back and look at it?
I have it went to I'm recording on the cloud, and also it's on my YouTube channel, The Quicken Guy. So when we end up be there, and I got to stream it to my Facebook page as well. My Bishop A.O. White page is there. I will all the sessions will not be public like this. For my my grassroots people, it'll always be free to y'all, but at some particular point I will be charging.
Gotcha.
So yeah, and we'll go from there. But it'll be
You
out
either
there these
said
first.
that you put your YouTube channel in the chat.
I can. I think I can do that. Let's see. Put my channel. I'll stop sharing. I won't read my chat. I apologize. Let me see if I can get a link to it as well. And if y'all would, y'all can subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. I would very much so appreciate it. That would be nice. Did y'all see? Can y'all see the link I just put up for YouTube?
No, I don't. see
Yes,
that.
I can see it.
That's Sharita, because I think it sent a direct message to you. Let me see how can okay, everyone in the meeting. There we go.
I'm on your channel right now. I see it.
Gotcha.
Okay, I see.
All right, there we go. I like that part of this, right? It's not a Baptist church. They got that totally wrong. Let's see. Okay. All right. Any other questions?
No. So next week, same time.
Same time.
And homework is registered with the DMV. If you're
Yeah.
not.
I saw Sharita. I know we discussed this a little earlier. So they're not accepting DMB anymore, Sharita?
No, they're not. They only they assign you that
The
UEI
UEI.
number. And
Gotcha.
it takes about as long to get that as it does to get a DMV.
DMV.
Yeah, because they
Gotcha.
do all kinds of entity verifications and everything.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily have to waste your time with DMV.
DMB. Gotcha.
Well, you need it for other than
Exactly.
SAM, right? But if for the purpose of SAM, you don't. When you go through
Right.
it, they're going to assign you that number.
Good deal. Good deal. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for the information.
Welcome. And it's recent, so
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I know you could have.
Yeah.
You're not constantly in there. I'm only in there because I just recently updated my entity, so that's how I know.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Good deal. Good deal.
Right.
Good deal. And I know they assigned it. I just didn't pay no attention to the DMV part not being a factor anymore.
And they do not accept it anymore. I don't know.
Exactly.
They must have had a falling out with them or something.
Or something like that. I
Yeah,
mean, because they were standard on that, and they
absolutely.
and they gave you a hard time about getting into that.
Yeah, if you
Uh-huh.
didn't have it before, you couldn't do anything in SAM, but now they don't even want it.
Gotcha. Oh wow. Oh wow. That's something else. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
My pleasure.
All right. Any other questions or concerns tonight?
Not for me. I appreciate everything.
All right, no problem. You're at
Very
work,
good.
Jed.
Yes, I am.
Okay, good deal. All right.
I'll be calling you as soon as we get off this.
All right, good deal. All right, y'all have a good night and look forward to seeing y'all next week.
All right, appreciate it, B-White.
All right, thank you.